Hey guys, so we're still travelling down our Photoshop journey, and now we've gone from doing adjustments on photos to then removing something from a photo. Now what we're going to do is converge two photos together, and I'm going to really pay attention as well to the shortcuts that I'm doing on the keyboard and with my mouse throughout this, because they're really critical when it comes to doing things on Photoshop, to know those keyboard shortcuts and stuff. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find an image. I'm going to open an image, do that one. Okay, so that's the image there, and this is the one that you guys would have seen before, and I've done a few little adjustments to it, but that's it. So what we're going to do now is find a file, and we're going to open another file that we want to combine with it. Sorry, I need to move my face again. Okay, so that one there. So we've got our two images. Okay, now there's two different ways that you do it, and this is going to be the first one, and probably the way that I think that is the easiest. So one way that you can zoom in on Photoshop, and probably the easiest way I find, is Control and then the plus side and the top right hand side. Not on the keyboard mouse, not on the keypad to the right with all the numbers on it, up the top. So that's there. So what you're going to want to do is zoom in on what you want to bring into your photo, okay? And so I've got my dog there, Jax, and I want to put him into the other photo, okay? And one way to do this is by using the quick selection tool, okay? And that's that tool over here. If you hold down on it, you see it's either magic wand or quick selection, so you're going to have to hold down and possibly change that. And then if I click on Jax, and you see that it highlight, if I click and drag, it'll highlight a bigger area. Now one way that you can do this, so if I'm dragging this over areas, okay, so I want his legs all the way down to there. Keep going all the way down to his legs. Get a bit of his tail in as well. There you go. But you can see there's certain parts that I don't exactly want in this. So if I go to, say, over here, so in his mouth and over here, I don't want those parts. So the way I can get rid of those, if I hold down Alt and then drag the mouse over it, it takes it to minus it, and so it'll take it closer. And as you can see, when I hold Alt right, I drag that in a little bit. Cool. And you see that it kind of bounces back out a little bit, and so it'll read, alright, so he wants me to go this close, and then it'll jump out like a tiniest little amount to make it even closer. So that's that there. We've got as well around tail. So you can see actually on the circle there, you can see it changes from a plus to a minus when I hold down the Alt key. It's also, you'll notice up here is where it changes. So if I press Alt, it goes to minus, and then back to plus. So holding Alt again. Shows that. The beauty of it is, I mean, if you hold Alt, then you can say, instead of having to keep going back over and clicking in between them, it's a really good way of doing this. So, yeah, and as you can see, it's pretty good, bit of freeform kind of thing. It basically, you're relying on Photoshop's knowledge of what you might want to keep and what you'd want to get rid of, because it'll just form to what it thinks. So I'll probably go about there. That'll do. Now what we're going to do next is I'm going to left click and drag this up here. Okay, so now I've got both photos there. As you see, the cursor's still on the whole quick selection tool. Okay, so you can see that by the form of the cursor. If I go over here and click on that, and you see it changes it on both photos. So now I can simply grab Jax, drag him over, and put him on there. Okay, and then I'll drag this back down, so I can swap in between my photos. So you can see there, Jax is there in the photo. Okay, so that's one way to do it. And then if I want to change it, so as you can see, it's made a new layer because I put a new picture on it. And what I can actually do, I can right click, so I'm on the right layer. I don't need to right click, sorry. If I go to Image, and then I can go down to, hang on, where's Transform? I think Transform's under Edit. So if I go to Transform, and I can go to Scale. So at the moment, he's looking pretty big in that photo, so I can scale him down, and if that's fine, okay, so I can apply that transformation and move around. One thing you can do as well, when you do that transformation, if you hold Shift, it'll keep everything in, in scale, okay? Kind of to say it won't. So the way I did it, you could pull one side and make him go really elongated. But if you hold Shift, it'll keep all of the different components the same size relative to each other. Okay, so that's one way to do it there. As you see, left a bit of the grass in on him, so that way it kind of looks a little bit natural. And that's fine. Also, I mean, if I wanted to make it a little bit less obvious, I could put him off to the side a little bit, kind of thing. and that's how we could be doing it there. The next way I'm going to show you, so I'm going to bring up two different photos now. So I'm going to open, I'm going to go to pictures, I'm going to go to sample pictures, open. Okay, so I'm going to use this picture, and I'm going to use a picture that I've used previously, which I think all you guys would have seen that are in my photography class. And that's what the one with the flower in the middle. And it's a really, really good one because it's pretty simple. But first, need to find it. Really important part of this as well is that I'm not sure I'm in the right one here. Is that with doing this, trying to make it look as natural as possible. So kind of not trying to move ginormous things from one to another, and things like that. So you got to make sure that you're doing something that you've got the ability to do. So in this course, I'm not showing you how to move ginormous things from one photo to another. I'm kind of keeping it within your means kind of thing, if that makes sense. So we'll open that one. That'll do. Okay, cool. So we've got this one here. As you can see, it was called color balance. So I've obviously upped the colors on it a little bit, but that's fine. So the way we can do this, so this is going to be our original photo here, and I'm going to move that across. So with this one being our secondary photo, that we just want the flower on it. So what we can do, we can drag this photo over here, and as you can see, that adds that photo onto this one as a new layer. Okay. And we can move that around perfectly fine. So we've got our two photos in there. Now we're going to go up to layer, and we're going to go down to layer mask, and we're going to go reveal all. Something we're going to have to do that's a little bit different as well is actually go to image, and we're going to have to go to, we're going to edit, transform, just like we did with the other one, scale it up, trying to make the flower that I'm going to replace that other flower with about the same size, or even a little bit bigger, I don't mind. So there we go, about there. Now with our layer mask, what we're going to do, we're going to go to the brush tool. Okay? Sorry, I need to apply that. Now we're on the brush tool, okay? So if I click on this, you can see it gets rid of the picture on the outside. And so that's revealing all. So if I went up here to layer, and then went to layer mask, I can go to apply or delete at the moment, so I'm going to finish that off, and then I'll go apply. Trying to make sure, so with mine it's pretty easy in terms of getting it just nice and close, because it's such a uniform kind of flower. Well, not uniform actually, the opposite. It's a little bit everywhere and stuff, so I can kind of get rid of that picture there. And it looks pretty natural. And you can see a little bit of the red. So the way I'm going to fix that is if I go to image, if I go to edit again and transform, scale, I can then again, even after I've been doing a bit of that layer mask, I can resize it again, and then go apply. So I'm going to have to go to edit. Okay, and that's all good. So what I'm going to do is deselect that, go apply. And then I'm pretty happy with that. So let's combine those two images. It's a little bit faded at the edges, but you can more or less see what I'm trying to show you, which is pretty good there. So we've got that one combined there. So those are the two different ways to do it. So you can do it by fading out the edges, which can sometimes make it look a little bit more natural, because when you're doing with the quick selection tool, it can sometimes make it look a little bit hard edge. So it does give it a nice crisp edge. So especially in that one where it's a long way away, it's very, very hard edge. One thing I want to show you is also when I was doing this, so when I was doing the layer mask, just to make sure, apply. So now what we'll do, we'll go layer mask, reveal. So we'll do that again. If I go to the brush tool, really important thing now, if I go control and, if I go to the brackets, you can see if I go to the right bracket, it makes it bigger, left bracket, it makes it smaller. So if I wanted to hit control and zoom in and really, really try to get all these little bits in, so if I'm going right up to that edge of that flower there, I have that option too. So get on the edge of that petal. So you can see there that it's a lot easier to go nice and close in there. And yeah, so that's the way to do that, and then I can just apply it or delete it, and it'll keep that layer mask that I want. Okay, so remembering control minus to zoom out, Control plus to zoom in, the different brackets, just under the plus and minus there should be 2 brackets, and using the right hand one makes your brush bigger, left hand one makes your brush smaller. So hopefully you've learnt through this a little bit about combining 2 images, but also a little bit about some of the keyboard shortcuts that are enabled with Photoshop to allow things to be a bit quicker, and I hope this really helps out. So thank you for watching.